Welcome to the most listened to golf in the world, the Fairways of Life show, on air, online, and around the world, with the most candid interviews, unforgettable stories, taking you beyond the ropes. Here's your host, New York Times best-selling author Matt Adams.
Last night, TGL doubleheader, LAGC versus New York GC. Tony Finau on the 13th. LA trails by 3, hammer thrown. And after he throws this beautiful wow shot, they would get to 4-3. Then LA's Colin Morikawa on 14, 170 yards with this dart. He'd make the putt. Match would be tied. Off to overtime now. At this point, LA already up by 1. Morikawa sticks it, uses the banking to bring it back to the hole. That would be good enough for a win, and with it, it would secure their spot in the playoff. There you can see the final number, 5-4. Now the evening match, Atlanta Drive GC versus Boston Common Golf. Up to Atlanta's Billy Horschel on the tee at 14. Hammer was thrown after the tee shots, by the way. Horschel converted. Atlanta put it out of reach. A final 6-3 over Boston Common Golf. Atlanta also clinched a playoff spot. So LA Golf Club's Colin Morikawa spoke of his mentorship. He spoke of the comeback strategy. Tony spoke the experience. Then Atlanta post-match talked about why they are excited to clinch a playoff spot.
Yeah, I kind of had to show Tony like how everything works. So we're going through that, and the overtime has been huge. You know, you only get 3 shots, and we each hit 1, and it doesn't matter if you're closer by an inch or 50 feet. It's like you just got to hit the shot, and we worked on it a lot. We had a couple competitions with good, but we honestly were going back and forth on how to hit it. And once we got to overtime, we kind of knew what we were going to do. So it was nice to be able to execute those shots, and it felt like momentum was on our side, and we had to close that out with all the prep we did, and it paid off.
Yeah, it's incredible. I didn't expect it to be this big and kind of grand. You know, I was watching some of the past events. But it kind of exceeded my expectations being here, being a part of it, and just to be able to have a comeback like we did today and help these guys get to the playoffs. I mean, it was kind of a dream couple days for me, honestly. I stepped up when I needed to for the team, but it couldn't have been a cooler experience. I had 2 great guys to lean on to kind of talk through. Yesterday during practice, they helped me around the greens, kind of gave me some advice when it came to hitting into a screen. So, I mean, these guys made it real easy for me to just step up and try to do my thing, and I couldn't have had more fun over the last 2 days.
Awesome. I think it feels great. I mean, I think that was our goal. I mean, we were on a text chain saying last week, hey, let's clinch it. Let's make sure we wrap up the playoffs next week. And, you know, that's what our mindset was, and we did it. Maybe a little bit more exciting than we wanted it to be, but, yeah, got the job done.
On the way to win. That's all we got to do.
Yeah, it's fun being on a team with these guys. I think we get along great. There's good chemistry between us, and it's a fun environment out there. The crowd, brings the energy every night, and it's just a blast being with these 2 guys because they're such great guys.
All right, here are the standings. As of this point, Jupiter Lynx, by the way, plays the Bay GC tonight. So that's Tiger's team, Jupiter Lynx. And we'll see if there's a pathway for the playoffs. But this is where we stand right now as of this morning. So, Dom, did you do a question of the day? Folks, you can go to the Fairways of Life YouTube channel and answer it if you did. But my question to you, Dominic, is if you didn't do a question of the day, I would love to know what people's impressions are of TGL to this point. Do they think it's working?
Well, how do you want me to phrase that? I was writing a different question, but I can delete and write a new question. So what do you want me to say about TGL? What's the question?
I would suggest the question would be, do you think TGL has worked?
You want a third option, or is it just yes or no?
Maybe a third option.
What about like
maybe
a kind of?
Maybe
or
people have
sorta?
some ideas of things that could be tweaked.
Okay, done.
All right. Go to our
I'm
Fairways
sure you
of
want
Life
you
YouTube
want what's
channel.
response now, right?
Yeah, as soon as we get a response, I need to know immediately what everybody thinks. This past weekend, folks, I had a ball. I was hosting live coverage of the Mexico Open at Vedanta World for PGA Tour Live. And I don't know about you guys, but I mean, you're watching a golf show right now, so you're probably representing the core of the game, right? And I love these full field events. I love when we get a chance to see the ascension of players, right? The future stars when they start to knock on the door. Maybe they get it done. Maybe they get close. You know, congrats to Brian Campbell. It was awesome. It's incredible that the game of golf gives and takes the way that it does. And it gave there in that second playoff hole when his ball was bound to go out of bounds and ricocheted off the tree. He and his caddy later on toasted that tree. Literally took a drink and they toasted the tree in gratitude for what took place there. But it was a couple players that were in the mix. Aldrich Potgieter is the first one that I want to talk about. He ended up finishing second in that playoff. And Potgieter, he's South African by way of Australia. The first thing I did was I looked up his name because it sounded very Germanic to me, and it is. So I don't know if his relatives lived on which side of the border with Holland. Probably they were Dutch at some point, but maybe with German roots too. Not sure. So I looked up the names. For one thing, I wanted to know how to pronounce it correctly. And it is Potgieter. And that name, when you anglicise it, when it's in English, is basically Potter. So here you had, oh, nice, Andrew. So here you had Aldrich, who was working his magic throughout much of the event. This is a kid who's already the youngest to have won on the Korn Ferry Tour all time. This is a kid who shot 59 on the Korn Ferry Tour. If he had won this past weekend, recognize that he did not, obviously, but if he had won, he would have been the sixth youngest since 1983 to win on the PGA Tour. The youngest in that span is Jordan Spieth, who was about 6 months younger than Aldrich right now. But what amazed me of what he did was until late, he was leading the field in both distance and strokes gained putting. That barely ever happens. So afterwards, the 20-year-old spoke to the experience and how we can build on it.
It was a great week. Disappointing finish, but I was happy with a second place. On Thursday, if you told me second place was where I was going to finish, I would have said I'll probably take it. So, yeah, really happy. I think I made a lot of fans out here this last 4 days, so I was just happy to play some good golf. I probably learned the most at Torrey Pines a couple of weeks ago, playing final group, seeing what it kind of takes to stay in the moment with the other guys that I played with. They played really good. I didn't, so trying to do that today. Struggled the front nine a little bit more, but brought it back the back nine, so I was proud of myself to be able to do that and get into the playoff. Yeah, I just try and block it out and try and stay to my pre-shot routine and focus on that. When I'm over the ball, it kind of all just shuts off. I don't really listen to any of that, so unless someone's really being noisy, but yeah, it didn't really bother me too much. Yeah, so obviously I played myself into next week, so we'll sit down, see if we want to play that. We'll see if we maybe get into the players and a couple of bigger events, so we'll see how that plays out and hopefully go head on straight into those.
Is there any doubt that this young man is on the verge of doing something very special? Nearly did this past week. The other one I want to talk to you about is Isaiah Salinda, 27 years old, absolute stud in college at Stanford. And his best finish on the PGA Tour was a tie for 7th prior to this past week, and that came back in 2023. I think that sometimes, and again, it goes back to my theme, that's why I love these events where we get to see these young players starting to emerge, and I think that in Salinda, he is a player that is on the verge of breaking out.
Played a great round, just, obviously a little disappointed that it came up, just one shot short, but to at least give myself a chance was all I wanted to do today. I thought, honestly, being however many back I was, like 7, I knew it was a long shot, so yeah, I can't be too upset about it. I played a good round and just came up one shot short. Yeah, I mean, top 10s are huge out here. That was kind of my primary goal going into today, is just to lock up a top 10 and get into next week, and hopefully players in Bay Hill and all those events. But once I realized I had a chance, I was pretty excited. I just, just came up short. But I love this place. This resort's awesome. Big fan of this golf course. I think it suits me really well, and I love everything about this place.
I think Isaiah has the it factor, and now his game's settling in. Just it's one of these situations where keep an eye on this space, because I think both of those two young players that we had the chance to watch and the pleasure of watching this past week have great things in store for them. Okay, Dom, I know some votes are probably coming in. What are people saying about TGL? Did you add the third question, by the way?
I did add a third option. My third option was, yeah, but it needs work. So the question again, do you think TGL has worked? Right now, 50% are saying no.
Really?
40%, about 39% now say yes, but it needs some work. And just a few of the comments trickling in. Derek's watching in Morocco. Derek says he stayed up last night to watch, and he had to stay up till 4 a.m. for him in Morocco. But he said the first match with Atlanta, coming back from 4 down, was very entertaining. Paul says TGL is entertainment, but it's not real, for whatever that's worth.
Oh, okay. Well, I like it. My criteria.
I mean, I thought it was real. It was on TV.
They're hitting shots. I mean, it may be different than the traditional golf at a golf course, but they have to execute shots. My criteria, and this goes back to even when at the start of the as they now call it, the FedEx Cup era, was if the players are vested, if it matters to them, and in this case you can measure that by how in earnest they wanted to win or the amount of fun that they're having in playing it. If they're invested, if it matters, then me as a fan, I'm easily drawn in. That's my hook. And so far, I have found it to be enjoyable. My philosophy is you consume golf the way that you want to. If you find your enjoyment to be, say, the YouTube golf, as they call it today, or in new ways of consuming the game, such as we're seeing with TGL, have at it. As long as you're having fun, as long as it means something to you. Now, where we're going next, folks, is, and I'm not trying to be too overly dramatic with this because I want you to take from it what's important to you, but we had a chance to sit down with Chris Kirk. Chris Kirk, a 6-time winner on tour, who 2 years ago had the epic battle with Eric Cole at this week's event, the Cognizant Classic in Palm Beaches, right? But Chris is a man that's been very honest about the challenges that he has faced, his addictions. And in some ways, to me, when a person is willing to be that honest, when a person is willing to put themselves out there, and in so doing, you're probably helping someone else that's struggling, maybe struggling to admit to themselves, or maybe they have hit that rock bottom and they don't know where to go or what to do, and they can see someone on this stage, someone who seemingly would have everything when someone's sitting back and dreaming about what's the perfect life, to be a multiple time winner on the PGA Tour, to be playing some of the best golf of his life right now, seemingly would have everything, and yet we're all human beings. When I asked, just to give you a tease, Chris, the question about that exact dynamic, and being in a position where your life can serve as an example to help others, he said, I'm quoting, "I did this out of desperation. I don't deserve the praise." Close quote. But what he revealed in what you're about to hear, I think, is breaking news. And I'm not talking about it in the context of the future direction of the game of golf, etc. I'm talking about it in the context of a human being. I'm talking about it in the context of a multiple-time winner on tour and a recent winner on that, in terms of the struggles that he recently went through. And these struggles, in many times from a public forum, are fought silently, but certainly they're felt by the people around you, the loved ones that you hold close to your life. So what you're about to hear from this PGA Tour champion is very, very dramatic indeed. It's coming up right after this.
I got ball fit in 2000, went on a little run. Then Bridgestone fit me again, and I went on another run. I just got fit again for the new Tour BX. The ball fitting's been helping me. Will it help you?
Every January, PGA Tour Superstore pros meet every manufacturer, learn about the latest equipment, log thousands of hours of training, and together hit over 100,000 balls. All so they can get you the perfect fit.
When you choose Newton shafts, you're choosing more than a product. You're choosing innovation, pride, and excellence right here in America. We pay attention to the minutest of details, and you can feel that in the performance of our shafts.
I think when you're training for other sports, or why most people go to the gym is so that they can have muscles and be strong and be healthy. And a lot of the reason why they struggle to play golf is their body doesn't move properly for them to be able to hit a golf ball. And when you're training for golf, it's a little bit different because you're focused more on flexibility and mobility and being strong in motion. When you're able to kind of have a warm-up and have a workout routine and kind of gradually build up to where you're training your body to move properly, yeah, you're going to get a lot of big dividends on the golf course.
Our journey began with a simple yet powerful vision to provide the world with the highest quality Virginia-type peanuts. The Hubbard Peanut Company, where quality and tradition meet to create an unforgettable experience. Visit hubspeanuts.com to explore our full range of products and place your order today.
Super easy to hit. Introducing the new PXG Black Ops irons, our first game improvement iron.
It's a larger face heel to toe.
It launches the ball high in the air and really far.
Much higher levels of forgiveness. You set that club down, it creates a lot of confidence. It's supported by this X-Core column material.
And that's where you get improved ball speed. If you're looking for distance, forgiveness, and feel, Black Ops iron is going to be for you.
PXG, nobody makes golf clubs the way we do, period.
Stride by Zero Friction, the first of its kind personal caddy. Walk in comfort and style with Stride's remote and follow me technology. The Stride handles almost any terrain, and its 54-hole range will last all day. The lightweight design and removable front wheels makes it simple to handle. Plus, it easily fits golf carts. Pick up your Stride today at a local PGA Tour Superstore near you or at zerofriction.com/Stride. Stride, your personal caddy.
You look to me like you're in the best shape I've ever seen you in. Is that fact?
I think so. I definitely have been able to add a pretty decent amount of kind of size and some strength over the last few years. And, I've spent most of my professional career in that kind of 175 to 180 pound range, and I'm just over 200 now. So have been able to do some really great work on that. And, Jake Crane, my trainer, who I've worked with for the last 2 years, deserves a lot of credit for that. He's really pushed me and allowed me to really kind of go to a new level. And it's really, for me, it's, I'm 39, which I still feel young and I feel great, but I look at all the guys that I'm playing against, and most of them are not 39. So, I think that's what I've tried to do is I think now it'll benefit me now, but it'll benefit me even more when I'm 45.
It's interesting too, isn't it? Because here you are referencing your age, and yet you're still in the exempt stage for being a recent winner. You've had great performances over the last couple of years, wins and close calls. So it almost seems like, regardless of age, you're at one of your career pinnacles right now, right?
I think so. Yeah, I feel like the last 2 years have been fantastic, and so we're trying to look at like, okay, what are the small things that we can do, the refinements that we can make to make me just that little bit better. You know, you're trying to find that 0.5%, you know, and so I think the physical side has been a big thing where, okay, you know, I think that playing, you know, you look at our season from January to August, if you're going to play 20 to 22 events during that stretch, you know, can your body handle that toll that it's putting on it? And, you know, I'd be lying if I said it wasn't more difficult than it was when I was 25. You know, I mean, so I've made some changes with what Jake and I have done, and then hiring Aki Tajima, who's my physio that's with me on the road pretty much every week, just kind of from a maintenance standpoint, making sure that I'm in a good place and recovering the way that I need to. And so my focus has shifted a lot towards that from, you know, I'm not really like trying to reinvent the wheel with my golf swing or do anything different in that regard. You know, obviously Scott and I, my swing coach, we're always working on it, and we're always trying to make it as efficient as possible. But it's really just about, you know, finding what's successful, which I've seen over the last few years, and like how can we repeat that more and more often.
Yeah,
that's kind of what we're looking at.
I want to go back to the idea of physical health and mental health. Because of your honesty, you were so candid with it. It had to have had an impact. You had to have impacted lives. And are you aware of that? Do you have any evidence of people going up and saying thank you?
Yeah, I see. I get it a lot, and it's great. It took me quite a while to sort of accept that. You know, it was very difficult to you know, because that's not why I did this. You know, I did this for me. I did this for my family, and you know, I did this to try to get myself into a better place. And so the fact that I'm helping others with my story and with my message is an amazing side effect of all of this. But I almost felt like guilty a little bit at first. Like I just didn't want to. Maybe I just didn't want to. I didn't want to accept the praise, I guess. Because it was just like, you know, I did this out of desperation, you know, so I don't really feel like I deserve the praise for it. But seeing the positive impact that it has now has helped me to want to continue to be out there about it and be honest about it, be honest with where I'm at every point, you know, because it's easy to say, you know, okay, now, yeah, I did all this, I fixed things, and now everything is great. You know, I mean, I had a period this summer where I was really struggling. You know, I had a really close friend took his life, and he was someone who was you know, like me. He was an addict like me, and then you had a situation with Grayson as well, who, you know, Grayson and I were not super close. But I talked to him a little bit, and kind of always sort of tried to offer myself up and said, you know, I'm here for you if there's anything that you need. And so those two events kind of, those happened pretty close together, this kind of late spring and early summer. And so that took more of a toll on me than I was willing to give it credit for at first. That was, you know, but I have a system that I was able to kind of fall back on and say, you know, and just the awareness of like, okay, I'm not doing all right. I'm not doing great right now. I need to take a minute here, and I need to kind of, you know, sort of get things back in alignment. And so, you know, I mean, I had a stretch in the late summer before the playoffs where I think I took 5 out of 6 weeks off in one stretch, and was like, all right, I need to kind of sort of get back to the middle, I guess you want to say, and get back to where I need to be and work on some things and make sure that all my priorities in my life are where I want them to be, and you know, to process all of that and kind of see what was my next best step, I guess. And so but yeah, just to be able to have that kind of awareness and consciousness of, you know, when something like that happens, to not just sweep it under the rug and, you know, say, oh, I'm a man, I'm fine, you know, to be able to work on it and move forward.
Again, you've used the word honesty multiple times. There's also courage that's involved with that. And, you're reaching millions of people right now. I know it's going to impact. It definitely will. I want to ask you about your kids decades from now. What do you want the kids to remember about you? What do you want the boys to look back and say, this was our dad?
I hope that they'll see me as someone who is passionate about the things that I cared about, passionate about how much I cared for them. And, it's my job to be the ultimate role model for them. I want them to want to be like me. And so in order for that to happen, I've got to be the best version of myself. And so, yeah, it's an amazing process. Parenting is incredibly difficult, obviously, but it's the greatest responsibility of my life is to, try to encourage my kids to be good men, and so I take that very seriously, and I think they would tell you the same thing, that I try to, on a very regular basis, sit each of them down individually and say, hey, I just want to remind you that my number one job in my life is to be your dad. And if you have anything that bothers you, if you have anything you have a question about, if you have anything that you're worried about, if you have anything about anything, I'm your guy. Don't be afraid to come to me. Don't be embarrassed about asking me about something. I'm here for you no matter what. And so I try to, every few months, try to have that conversation over and over and over and over again. And they're probably sick of it, but they know that, I've got their back no matter what. So that's how I want them to remember me, and how I want them to think back on their childhood. Because it's crazy that the ages that they're at, but once they're 18, 19, then you don't have them all the time anymore, and so I think that I'll still be able to be a great influence on their lives after that. But now is the time when it's I can help them as much as possible right now.
It's awesome. Thank you very much for the time that you've given us. Mm-hmm. Proud of you, excited about what lies in store. You're an inspiration.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
In Ireland, golf is more than just a game. Come and experience our world-famous links courses and our world-famous Parkland courses, all set alongside world-famous scenery. And visit our world-famous historic sites. And while you're here, enjoy our world-famous hospitality. Fill your heart with Ireland at ireland.com/golf.
Ben Hogan Golf Equipment is back. Established in 1953, we serve golfers who demand excellence of their equipment. Designed by the game's best engineers, forged in the world's best foundries, and built to order in the USA. Don't settle for off-the-rack disappointment. Elevate your game with custom clubs at direct-to-consumer pricing. Exclusively at benhogangolf.com. That's benhogangolf.com.
The best feeling iron I've ever hit. Introducing the new Gen 7 irons, the greatest leap forward in irons technology, in performance, in PXG history. Our new quantum core material explodes off the face. Are you kidding me? The Gen 7 irons deliver groundbreaking new levels of forgiveness, speed, distance, and feel. That's what I'm talking about right there. Look at that trajectory. Just phenomenal. Gen 7. It doesn't get any better.
PXG, nobody makes golf clubs the way we do, period.
Baseball, well, after PGA Tour.
Playing on the PGA Tour is not easy. But you know what is easy? Hitting the 524 series from Tour Edge.
Hitting linebackers and home runs used to be easy.
Out here, you're going to need all the easy you can get. Introducing the 524 series from Tour Edge. The easiest clubs you'll ever hit. Even the best players in the world can use a little easy.
I like the sound of that. Look out, PGA Tour.
Pound for pound, nothing comes close.
What would your ultimate golf experience be like? Just you and a friend?
Or would you round up some buddies for a foursome? Just one day? Or an entire week? There's a good chance your ultimate golf experience could be Michigan's magnificent 10. 10 incredible courses set among 3 remarkable resorts. See for yourself. Book your ultimate golf experience today.
Our journey began with a simple yet powerful vision to provide the world with the highest quality Virginia-type peanuts. The Hubbard Peanut Company, where quality and tradition meet to create an unforgettable experience. Visit hubspeanuts.com to explore our full range of products and place your order today.
Every January, PGA Tour Superstore pros meet every manufacturer, learn about the latest equipment, log thousands of hours of training, and together hit over 100,000 balls. All so they can get you the perfect fit.
When you choose Newton shafts, you're choosing more than a product. You're choosing innovation, pride, and excellence right here in America. We pay attention to the minutest of details, and you can feel that in the performance of our shafts.
Welcome back to the Fairways of Life show. Pleasure to have your company, folks, from wherever you are joining us around the globe today. Matty here with you. Andrew and Dom are behind the glass. I hope that you enjoyed that interview with Chris Kirk. You probably could hear that I was a little choked up talking to him about it. How do I phrase it? The self-awareness, the courage to face your own demons, to fight to not to be consumed by them, the recognition that, as the cliche goes now, it's okay to not be okay, to continually realize that it's something you need to work on. These are all lessons I think all of us can learn from, but as I told him, you heard me mention in there, I'm convinced that in these forums that this message, his message, will reach someone that needs to hear it, maybe for the first time, maybe for the most critical time. I think it's good for all of us to realize that our sporting heroes are human too. You know, so it's just incredible stuff from Chris, and we appreciate him taking the time, as I mentioned to him. So we wanted to go down this road of performance and balancing of life, if you please. So we've invited Dr. Morris Pickens to join us, a sports psychologist at Sea Island Golf Performance Center. And Dr. Mo, as you can see, that's just an example of some of those whose lives he has touched. He's got a PhD in sports psychology from UVA. His players have won over 30 times in the PGA Tour, including multiple majors, as you just saw. Keegan Bradley, Davis Love III, Justin Leonard, Davis Thompson, just more players in addition to those photos that he's worked with. He deals with the themes of performance under pressure, the importance of a routine, that golf can't be your identity. I want to get into that. As I mentioned, he is at the Sea Island Golf Performance Center. And he's joining us live this morning from the Cognizant Classic in the Palm Beaches. Dr. Mo, it's good to have you on the program. Thank you for taking the time today. You know,
yeah, absolutely.
I'm curious, Doc. It's kind of a chicken and egg thing, right? What comes first, the performance or the confidence?
Well, for some people, maybe the confidence, but I would say the performance. I mean, I think to me, confidence is really knowledge of what you're doing in any given situation. So the guys that are more prepared and they kind of know what they're doing. I mean, I guess you could be confident in something you've never done before, but it's much easier if you're getting ready to play on a Sunday morning and you've been there before. That's why a lot of times you see guys who might struggle their first or second time in contention, and then they kind of learn how their body reacts and where their mind goes, and they get better at it. So
when you see great players like a Jack Nicklaus or a Tiger Woods, Doc, Are they wired differently? Is there a different capacity to handle pressure when it's at its nth degree? Or is it something that in your profession you say, no, we all can get to a certain level? I guess my question is, are some people pre-wired to be better at it?
I don't believe so. I believe that you can absolutely learn how to get mentally tougher, to handle situations, to deal with pressure better. Now, some people may be more motivated to actually work at it harder. That's the part that might be more innate. People that are really just driven, and some people don't like the feeling of failure. And so they're not really motivated to put themselves in that situation again and give themselves a chance to succeed or fail. But as far as like learning how to make yourself mentally tough, I think that is a skill that's acquired over time. I mean, if you go back and you read a lot of the things from Nicholas or from Tiger, they both talk about, how they got better through trials and situations that they were put in, either as a kid or either as, failing early in their kind of golf careers.
I want to get into that detail with you a little bit as well, but there's something else that when I was going through the highlights of who you are and what you do, and folks, you can go to Dr. Mo's website by logging on to drmolearntowin.com. That's drmolearntowin.com. How do you separate, particularly you were talking about young players and how sometimes we can watch them ascend right before our eyes, but how do you separate a player, a person, their identity from the score that they shoot?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's something I discuss with my players all the time. And I think part of it is making sure that your identity is in other things. And, we talk just in life in general about work-life balance. And I would really talk about kind of having a work-life break. And that doesn't matter if you're a professional golfer or if you're, running a company. When you're at work, you want to be at work and be where your feet are. And then when you leave, you want to go enjoy your kid's ball game or your daughter's recital or whatever you're at. And so that's really the way that I would talk about specifically how you do that. I think the more you can make a physical break, the better you're going to be able to mentally compartmentalize that. So like with all my college players, we talk a lot about, hey, when you put your clubs in the locker or when you put them back in your car, take just a minute or two to literally kind of like, okay, hey, I'm done with that. And I put in good work, but I'm done with that. I'm not a golfer 24/7. And now I'm going to go enjoy college, or I'm going to go be with my family, or, whatever the activity that you're getting into, you want to, if you can make a physical break, some kind of little reminder, it will help you mentally get in the right space.
Doctor, what is fear?
Well, I mean, I think it could be different things, but I think fear is really just kind of this anxious feeling primarily of the unknown. And so I think when something's unknown, and it could be a social situation, it could be a competitive situation, it could be an academic situation, you're not sure. I mean, I can remember going to college and like a lot of people, your first 2 weeks, you're like, man, am I going to be able to handle this, or how hard? And then once you get into a rhythm and a routine, I'm very big on routines and kind of like establishing what you're going to do. Chris talked about that in his interview. And, once you get that down, then you're like, okay, hey, I kind of got my rhythm to what I want to do and how I'm going to go about my day. And, and that gets down into even little things like, I think a guy has more confidence and less fear when they really know what they're doing over the golf ball. And that could be physically what they're going to do, visually where their eyes are going to go, mentally, are you going to have a swing thought, or you're not going to have a swing thought? So, those are the kind of specific details we get into with performance. And then there's a different element of, okay, hey, I need to break that, and now golf's not going to be my life. And for a lot of, parents out there, what I would really encourage them is, you might say that, but your actions speak louder than your words. So, get out of the habit of your son or daughter plays great and you go to a nice restaurant and they play poor and you go drive through somewhere, because that's sending the signal that, hey, you are your score, and you don't want to teach your kids that.
No, that's a great way to look at it. From that, let's follow on that theme just for a second with young people, particularly with junior golfers. What's your advice to parents to keep them from being, like the little league mom or dad, from being too involved, from actually setting their junior golfer on a road to burnout?
I think the biggest thing there is understanding what stage your daughter or son is at. And when they start golf, you're kind of the overall caddy or caretaker, but then you progress, from that into more of, maybe a little bit of a coach. But then when they get 12, 13, 14, their physical skills, you really want to turn them over to someone else. And then at that point, be a chauffeur, right? And then ultimately end up being a consultant where, hey, they'll call you when you're needed. But so I teach parents, hopefully, to go through kind of stages from caretaker to caddy to chauffeur to consultant. And if you do that, then, you will be helping your child develop and not just overseeing every little thing they do. I mean, when they're 13, 14 years old, they're almost about to drive a car. They can definitely drive a golf cart. You don't need to carry everything on the golf course for them. So, let them do their own thing. Let them develop.
How do you have the hard conversation with parents when there's a strong indication that what they're doing is they're living through a glory that they may have been denied in their own lives that they hope to see captured by their son or daughter?
Yeah, I think those are hard conversations. And I think you just have to be very honest with them and tell them, hey, I know you have the best intentions because, I have 4 children and I hadn't done everything great myself, but I think most parents have really good intentions. Sometimes we just go about it the wrong way. And so that's what I encourage them to do, is to make sure, what we're trying to do is we're trying to get your son or daughter to play the golf course. And some of the hardest conversations are when I'm telling the parent, hey, they're not playing the golf course. They're playing the conversation with you or the phone call with you after the round while they're on the second hole. And that's not going to turn out well. And but I think you just be honest and say, hey, parenting is hard. As Chris said, it's hard. It's not the easiest thing to do. And if you're in a space where you're not sure if what you're doing is helpful, then go talk to people that have been there before you and figure out, hey, what'd you do? We've all seen parents that go about it the right way, and we've all seen some parents that probably are doing some things you're like, wow, I hope I don't look like that. And so, yeah, try to learn and literally make yourself better in that role. Either with parents of another student or whoever you're using in terms of coaches and that sort of thing.
Dr. Morris Pickens is a sports psychologist at the Sea Island Golf Performance Center. DrMoLearnToWin.com is his website. DrMoLearnToWin.com is his website. Hey, Doc, are you holding your phone with your right arm?
I am.
Does it feel like it's about to fall off right now?
Well, it's not about to fall off quite yet, but it's getting there, yeah.
You can switch arms. You won't offend us, just so you know. You don't have to be in pain while you're going through this thing. Okay, so there you go. See, the frame looks every bit as good. You mentioned that you were listening to the last segment, and you heard Kirk talking about how he's balancing his life with the challenges that he's faced, etc. So my question is, from the outside looking in as fans, I think it's reasonable and it's common that we look at what professional athletes are doing, and you've dealt with professional athletes and you've dealt with athletes, whether we're talking about collegiate or pro ranks, outside of golf, inside of golf, etc. We look at that and go, geez, the life seems perfect. Things couldn't be better. Can you talk to us about the pressures that a professional athlete faces, both internally and externally, and how to deal with all of that?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think there's real pressure in the sense of, other than a maybe select 20, 30 guys out here who are established and maybe have some other contracts, but in professional golf, I mean, you gotta keep your job every year. Mm-hmm. And there's a reality to that in the sense of, hey, it's hard. And there's the players out here are so good. And it's just every day waking up knowing like, hey, I got to go perform. So I think that pressure is always there. Maybe once you've been out here, 4 or 5 years and you've kind of established yourself, but there's a window where maybe it's quote easier, but then on the backside, as Chris talked about, as you're getting older and you got to take care of your body and you got to do some things, you got to be able to adapt and adjust to keep meeting that demand. So, professional golf is a commission only job, and and there's the reality of having to perform. And then as far as whatever goes with that would be how you've set your life up, potentially, who else is in your life and who is speaking to you, that sort of thing. Like I know Chris talked about his family and his kids and that sort of thing, and he's I would think, the primary breadwinner there. And so just the reality of, hey, I need to do this to provide for my family, but at the same time, I got to do this travel, and he wants to be a great father, and he talked about that being his number one job. Well, that's a hard thing to do when you're gone 20, 25 weeks a year. And so how do you balance that? And the reality is you're going to miss a lot of activities. You're going to miss, kids' recitals. You're going to miss some of their ball games. And, I think, like he talked about, having a support system, whoever he's got in terms of professionally who he's working with, but then also just your friends at home, your wife, your family, your extended family, just for those people to realize how difficult it is. It looks real fun because what they show and what we watch Sunday afternoon, the 10 to 12 guys that might be in contention the last 2 hours. What you don't see, the guys who's already missed the cut on Friday and, he's practicing or trying to figure out his travel plans or if he's going to be in, sorry about that, live TV, if he's going to be in the next week.
You're there live. It doesn't bother us all, Dr. Mel. I want to follow up on something you said when you mentioned, because we've got a couple minutes left here with you.
Okay.
You said that confidence is knowledge. And for some reason, it reminded me of a quote that Paul Azinger said to me one time where he said, when you have confidence, you never think you're going to lose it. And when you lose it, you never think you're going to get it back. What knowledge, what revelation can you provide, can you consult on that could help lead someone back to the elusive?
Well, I think, one of the questions that I always ask students, whether they're 14 years old or whether they've been out here for 10 years, I want to know what they were doing and what they can remember when they played their best. And everything from swing thoughts to what they did practicing, what they were working on, potentially who they were with that week. And I'm not a big proponent of journaling everything, but I am a proponent of journaling kind of your best rounds and your worst rounds. And so I think in any kind of avenue of life, I think when you perform really well or you perform poor, that's when you can learn the most. Because you need to figure out, hey, how am I going to repeat this or how am I going to kind of stop doing this? So I would really encourage players out there when they play really well or they play awful, and it could even be a stretch. It could be just 4 or 5 holes where they were a few under or they were 5 or 6 over. Like, what was going on? And what was going on specifically in terms of did you, did you kind of lose your momentum? Where did you go? And that's why it's so important to have routines on the course that say, hey, I know what to do around the golf ball. I know what I'm doing, and it doesn't matter if I'm 2 under or if I'm 6 over. This is what I do when I play my best. And that's what I'm always trying to get players to kind of get back to. But if you don't make notes of that and you don't study that, you're not just going to automatically remember it, especially when you're under pressure.
Dr. Mo, learntowin.com is his website. Dr. Mo, learntowin.com. Dr. Mo, I think you should put out a YouTube video on shoulder and arm workout just by holding your phone extended out in front of you, because it does start to burn after a while. Thank you so much for your time. It was good to catch up with you again.
Great catching up with y'all. Y'all have a good day. Thanks.
You too. All right, folks, back with more of the Fairways of Life show right after this.
I got ball fit in 2000, went on a little run. Then Bridgestone fit me again, and I went on another run. got fit again for the new Tour BX. The ball fitting's been helping me. Will it help you?
What would your ultimate golf experience be like? Just you and a friend? Or would you round up some buddies for a foursome? Just one day? Or an entire week? There's a good chance your ultimate golf experience could be Michigan's magnificent 10. 10 incredible courses set among 3 remarkable resorts. See for yourself. Book your ultimate golf experience today.
I think when you're training for other sports, or why most people go to the gym is so that they can have muscles and be strong and be healthy. And a lot of the reason why they struggle to play golf is their body doesn't move properly for them to be able to hit a golf ball. And when you're training for golf, it's a little bit different because you're focused more on flexibility and mobility and being strong in motion. When you're able to kind of have a warm up and have a workout routine and kind of gradually build up to where you're training your body to move properly, yeah, you're going to get a lot of big dividends on the golf course.
Super easy to hit. Introducing the new PXG Black Ops irons, our first game improvement iron.
It's a larger face heel to toe.
It launches the ball high in the air and really far.
Much higher levels of forgiveness. You set that club down, it creates a lot of confidence. It's supported by this X-Core polymer material.
And that's where you get improved ball speed. If you're looking for a distance, forgiveness, and feel, Black Ops iron is going to be for you.
PXG, nobody makes golf clubs the way we do, period.
Stride by Zero Friction, the first of its kind personal caddy. Walk in comfort and style with Stride's remote and follow me technology. The Stride handles almost any terrain, and its 54-hole range will last all day. The lightweight design and removable front wheels makes it simple to handle. Plus, it easily fits golf carts. Pick up your Stride today at a local PGA Tour Superstore near you or at zerofriction.com/Stride. Stride, your personal caddy.
Every January, PGA Tour Superstore pros meet every manufacturer, learn about the latest equipment, log thousands of hours of training, and together hit over 100,000 balls. All so they can get you the perfect fit.
Welcome back, folks. The Newton shaft is easy to swing. It is easy to time. It has its unique elongated bend profile, and that allows you to feel the shaft throughout your swing. It has an incredibly stable structure, so it never gets away from you during your golf swing. It's made in the USA, and PGA Tour champion success have numbered over 31 players used it in 2024. 6 of the 36 players in the Schwab Cup finals were playing a Newton shaft. The shaft fits a wide range of players, from tour players of that level down to beginning golfers of all swing speeds. It's really hard to overpower a Newton shaft. It's even used by long drive champions. And again, with that elongated bend profile, the player will feel a gradual load and an exceptionally smooth and dynamic unloading. So, I get asked by people all the time, what should I do? Should I get maybe a new driver or a new club? And my advice to people is, first thing you need to do is make sure that you're properly fit for your club. And if you have a Newton shaft, you might get the performance that you're seeking from the head that you already own. You don't have to invest in a new driver, but it's something you want to look into. So Newton shafts are what we recommend. All right, this week at the Cognizant Classic in the Palm Beaches, some notable players in the field include Jordan Spieth, Daniel Berger, Cameron Young, Denny McCarthy, Billy Horschel, Sepp Straka. You can see the list that Andrew has put together. Griffin, Minwoo Lee, Glover, Harmon, Lowry, Henley. Dom just said in my earpiece, he said the Scary Bear. That would be apropos to this golf course and what it means. It could, you've got this Florida swing that we're now starting, where you go from, you've got Bay Hill, which annually is ranked amongst the most difficult courses. You've got the Players. Then you've got the Copperhead course at Innisbrook for the Valspar, which many players say is their favorite of the Florida swing, it's an incredibly difficult run, and it's really a perfect run in buildup of the players and then in buildup, ultimately, of the first major on the men's side of the game of the year with the Masters. Before we say goodbye on this day, let's check in with Dominic one more time. Dom, I asked you the question, if you could ask the people, which the question was, what do they think about TGL? Is it working? What are you hearing?
So we've got 54% are saying yes, and 32% are saying yes but needs work, and then the remainder is no. So there's a percentage there of people going, hey, listen, this is working, right? But it's new. Let's and to their credit, Matt, they've made some adjustments. Remember, they changed the hammer rule after like 2 matches. They're like, we need to fix this. And they just fixed it immediately.
Good. Yeah, I think that's great. One of the things Andrew was asked before we went on the air, he said, well, there's no impact of wind because you're hitting into the screen. But there is wind in the formula, right? In the program. They're in that big building. We know the guy that built it. I think they should put up big fans so the players can feel the direction of the wind as well to make it even a little bit more immersive. Guys, thank you so much for your company today. It was an absolute delight. Thank you to Chris Kirk for joining us. Thank you to Chris for being as honest as he always is, because as I've said a million times, it will help people with whatever you have to do. I have to go to the dermatologist today, folks. If you get a chance, go. At least once a year, go. You love golf. You're out in the sun. Just one more thing to keep in mind. You guys have a great one. Until we are together again, be well. Goodbye for now.